I don't want to say or do anything that's not going to be positive for the human race. But I'm in an art form that's all about degeneracy, at least right now. This reality, if you can even call it that, is pretty obscene. And if you don't go along with the obscenity, they think you're mean. If you don't go along with somebody's gender ideaulogy, then you're mean. You're so mean. You're so mean, 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 mean. You're gonna kill yourself. You're gonna kill yourself. You're gonna kill yourself. But they'll tell you that you're more likely to do that if I don't go along with you. You say my truth, my truth. I mean, I get it. You're confused. It's okay. I don't know if I've ever been confused. I feel like everything's pretty obvious to me. But that's all the devil do, is confuse you. You got nothing else. So if I don't get up on stage and say the same thing that everybody else has already said, well, they're gonna wish that I was dead. At least that's how they treat you anyway. If I don't get up there and say the same thing that everybody else has already said, they're gonna assume that I committed suicide instead. Whatever I'm doing proves that I'm truly alive. Cause I feel like people that are dead inside just gonna go along to get along every time. That's what they always do. This is no different from the way it's always been. But we're gonna run it on through once again until this world is officially over. And unfortunately, it can't be over soon enough. I think about that a lot. How if you aren't politically correct, you don't say what they expect, then they look at you like you're good as dead, but it's them that's dead. Most people have no choice but to project. If they didn't project, they'd be slitting their wrists in a bathtub. Kinda wish they would, but no self-awareness. Anyway. And I'm not mean to say that, I'm not mean to say that, I'm not mean to say that, I'm not mean to say that. You're mean if you don't say that. Sorry, we got a stoplight. Sorry, we're gonna drive first. We're gonna drive first, okay. See? It's a red light. Well, it's black and white, so you can't see. I promise you it's red. See? I love how you have to prove that. I just wanted you to know why I arbitrarily ended the song as if I never arbitrarily start and stop a song or anything else that I do. That's just kind of how we roll, you know? Because that's how mental illness is, you know? Just randomly stops and starts. And I feel like a lot of the reason like why mental illness is so misunderstood, it's just because like our timing is completely off, you know? And comedians like have a knack for timing, which is why the more mentally ill you are, the better you'll be at comedy, the better you'll be at art, because that's when you make the timing your own, you know, like you live in your own world and you're pulling people into your world. And that's why it's such a glorious gift from God. Like we can create every day, you know? Just think about how boring it must be to be some, you know, average piece of shit American that does nothing but just stare at their phone or watch TV and like work their boring ass mind-numbing job until they die, you know? And they're just like coming home to their kids, they hate them. All their kids are on their phones because they don't believe in parenting, and you know, like they don't actually like eat dinner with their kids. Like everybody's on their phones or they're watching TV, and you know, they send their kids off to a school and like their kids don't learn anything because the school's run by the government, right? I just imagine what it's like to be most people, and it's just so depressing. I feel like if people had self-awareness, they would commit suicide. Like really and truly. But that's because they don't create, you know? They think that creation is up to like people like me, you know? And they're so jealous of us. And they think that we're like reckless and irresponsible and we live this like totally outlandish life. And maybe we are in a way, but like, I just feel like everybody could create if they wanted to. You know, like I could pop out babies if I wanted to. I could get married and pop out babies and pull all my hair out. You know, I could do that, but I choose not to because that doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense for me to do something like that. But maybe it's the same way for them. Like, they could create, but they choose not to because they're like, oh, well, that's not my responsibility, you know? I'm supposed to be entertained. So annoying. But I just get unnerved when people keep asking me the same questions of like, when are you gonna settle down? I'm 37 years old, honey. If it ain't happened yet, it's probably not gonna happen, okay? There's no such thing as settling down when you have schizophrenia, okay? Shut the fuck up, okay? You don't understand anything, okay? You don't understand anything. You see this? You see this? This is called we're not like you, okay? We don't do what you do. Why? Because we don't have to. Did you know that you don't have to have a smartphone? Did you know that you don't have to go on the internet? Did you know that you don't have to watch the news? Did you know that you could open your fucking eyes? Did you know that you could pay attention to what goes on around you and you don't have to wait for news people to tell you diddly squat? Did you know that? I'm sorry, I sound like that girl from H&R Collection. Yeah, I sound like her. I remind myself of her sometimes because she just goes off on these rants. But yeah, it's annoying. It's so annoying. Like, people are just so dense, man. See, I just sent a text message, okay? I'm a total hypocrite because I use some technology. Because that's always what people want to bring up. They're like, oh, You use electricity, right? Well, you use electricity, so you might as well have a smartphone. You might as well just go along with what we've all gone along with is killing us. And we're not cognizant of that because we're not cognizant of anything. I don't even know what the word cognizant means. I don't know how I'm saying the word cognizant. Anyway, let's get back to the song. All right. There's no choice in the matter, no matter what. You wanna assume about me, you know you could just ask me, but you won't. People are so afraid of offending someone. That's silly. Just say what you wanna say what you wanna say what you wanna say. Don't let anything that people try to tell you get in the way of doing what you think is right. Telling people how you feel. But then again, how do people even know how they really feel? When they're being told, you know, you need to care about this, and they're being pulled in this direction or that direction, how do they even know? How do they even know? So maybe that's an unfair thing for me to say. I wish things were easier. I wish I could simplify it for you and make all this pain go away. I wish people could learn how to communicate. And if they say the wrong thing, then we just dust it off and we go on our way. I'm struggling with that myself, I'll admit that. But communication has made things a lot harder recently. And people don't know how to say what they want to say, so they say everything else. And people don't know how they feel from one moment to the next, so how could they truly understand the cards that they've been dealt and play them well? How could they do that? So if they're thinking something and they want to say it out loud, but they don't, I guess because they're too proud. Like, what if they're thinking, I wonder if medicine is poison? I thought that when I was 6 years old. But I never said it out loud. Everybody would have laughed at me anyway. But I have a feeling that a lot of people are thinking these things, but they won't bring them up out of pride or being ostracized. Or all that typical societal stuff. Makes people so self-conscious, even more wish I could take this and twist it and flip it and contort it and make it something better than it was. But honestly, sometimes I feel like I lack the capacity to care about it. Nobody else seems to care about it. Why do I even bother? 'Cause when everybody is hooked on drugs, but they don't call them drugs. No, they don't call them drugs. How could you expect anything to get better when nobody is ever in a good state of mind? I'm trying to come up with a good metaphor to explain it. But it's like everybody's brain has been polluted. So how can you get through to somebody whose brain has been polluted? You know? How could you cleanse the water? Cleanse the water. I mean, I could bring my holy water. I could bring my crucifix. That's all I've got. In order to fix, would insist on being broken. That was depressing. No hope! No hope at all for society. So true. So true. No hope. Well, you know, I exist, y'all. There's hope because I exist, right? It's true, though. It's true. I'm sure that, like, most people don't know that you don't have to have a smartphone. Most people don't know that, like, you don't have to agree with somebody's bullshit gender identity, okay? You don't have to do that. But their minds aren't free. Like I said, they've been polluted. So it's like you could toss a cross into that water, but I don't know if it just come floating back up. I don't think it would sink to the bottom, but it would just float down the river. And I feel like they wouldn't even know how to receive it. Because they're so tainted by all this garbage. You know? But I don't want to have that kind of mindset about it, because that mindset is wrong. And that mindset is of the devil. So sorry. Just experiencing a little moment of cynicism. I mean, I'm not cynical about what I do, but I'm just looking at society with no hope whatsoever, you know? Because they don't know that they don't have to choose what they choose. They don't know that they're, like, consciously, or I guess subconsciously, making a choice. You know, it's like people that claim that they're depressed. I'm not saying they're not. I mean, they are, because they believe that, right? So if they keep thinking about it, they're going to keep feeling that way. But, like, when all that you do is sin, when all that you do is, like, focus on, like, horrible things that don't make any sense, then yeah, there's not much of a chance that you're gonna get out of that, because that's like what you're surrounding yourself with. Like, you're fixating on the negative. You're fixating on sinful behavior. You're fixating on degeneracy. You know, it's like, that's why I can't go on the internet for very long, because it's just all this negativity. I used to think I was such a negative person, but looking at society and looking at the kinds of things that people say on Twitter and all that, dude, I'm an angel compared to these motherfuckers. I really am. Like, I know I use the word motherfucker interchangeably. Like, I use it as like a term of endearment. I also use it as a pejorative. But, you know, I feel like that's probably like the most sinful thing that I do at this point. But like, I'm pretty aware of myself, you know? If I do something wrong, like, I know immediately. There's never like any doubt that I have that what I'm doing is right or wrong. It's pretty obvious, you know? It's crazy, like, how much wrong you can do being a good person. And I think about that a lot, you know, the way that I used to be, my past of a past life. You know, I was just talking to a friend of mine, he was a former Satanist. So, you know, he's in the Orthodox Church now. So that's kind of cool. That's a cool story, though, you know? That's a much stronger testament than, you know, somebody that's like, oh, no, I was born and raised in the church, and I waited till I was married to have sex, and I've always been clean and sober, you know, I've never done drugs, you know, my pee is always clean, okay? You know, who wants to listen to that? That's not inspiring at all, dude. Like, tell me about who you killed, alright? I would much rather hear that story, because that's more moving to me. Of like, yeah, I did all these terrible, terrible things, and then I found Christ, and that crucifixion means so much to me because of how wretched of a person I used to be. But it just goes to show, like, how much he can transform somebody. So, like, you know, somebody that has always been in the church, somebody that was always, like, conscious of that reality. You know, that person just, they don't have anywhere near as interesting a story, I would say that. And they don't have as much of a reason to cling to Jesus as somebody that, you know, is guilty of murder. And I haven't murdered anybody, but what's worse? Like, to murder somebody or to have sex out of wedlock? Because I feel like if you're a woman that's had sex out of wedlock as many times as I did that, like, I feel like it's just as bad. Maybe even worse. Because I'm sure that, like, if you murder somebody, like, at the time it made sense, you know, to do that. And that's easier to explain to, like, a man that could potentially be your future husband. That would be easier to explain, like, yeah, this is why I killed this guy. Versus, like, yeah, I slept with, like, over 20 people, and it's because I was a drunk, you know? I mean, like, that's hard to even say that out loud, honestly. But that was the way I used to live, folks. Batty four shoes. I need to talk about that more on stage. I feel like like there's so much that I could talk about on stage that I haven't talked about on stage. But I always end up talking about political stuff. Maybe I should let go of that, because I don't really think that's going anywhere anyway. You know? It's like, I did this joke about race. That was like the last joke that I did at Twin Kicks too. And nobody laughed at it. But I mean, it really wasn't even a joke. It was just a speculation. Like, people that say that they don't see color are just so stupid. And they're totally full of it, you know? So what you mean by that is you don't stereotype people based off of race. Okay? You could say that, and that would be a true statement. But you saying that you don't see color is just dumb. But it's just like the arrogance of that. The arrogance of a statement like that. And it's just to make it seem like, oh, you've never had a racist thought in your life, which is complete crap. Everybody is racist on some level, and that's fine. Get over it, get on with it. It's not that serious, okay? Everybody is biased towards something or someone. That's fine. Unless you have a profound spiritual experience, you're probably not going to get over that bias. Which is why they keep focusing on it. They keep focusing on race, and they keep focusing on gender. It's because we can't get rid of race and gender. They definitely don't want to get rid of race, because that's a huge cash grab for these pieces of shit, okay? But they definitely want to get rid of gender. But anyway, I don't even know why I brought that up. Oh, just to illustrate that you didn't want to be political anymore? Like you made a statement that I'm sure people were afraid to laugh at or agree with, because it was a true statement about how people sugarcoat things. Like, that's an example of sugarcoating. Like, you know, oh, I don't see color. I don't. It's like, fuck you, dude. Yes, the fuck you do. Everybody sees color. Just say, I don't see stereotypes. Well, there you go. You just added to the joke. That's the punchline. Yeah, but they still won't get it. They'll still be too afraid to laugh at it. Well, maybe it's just not funny. How about that? maybe it's not funny at all. Maybe I'm just a piece of shit, arrogant cunt sore. Right? Keep saying I'm not gonna swear, and here we go again, right? That's why I told my priest that I wasn't gonna bother, like, worrying about it. Because it just gets worse when I try to avoid it. So that's why I'm like, look, if I really want to, like, get rid of this flaw, if I keep focusing on it, it's not gonna work. You know, I need to let God do it. If I do it, I'm gonna fuck it up. Case in point.